True fake love. We're getting close, Mr. Ambrose said, the moment he arrived at our dinner table in the hotel dining room. I had waited in vain for over half an hour before finally ordering my dinner without him. And the knowledge of what he was doing, somewhere in a secluded space with Cream, his other faithful minions and the 3 ruffians they had captured last night, hadn't exactly improved my appetite. All of which explained why, when Mr. Ambrose said, "We're getting closer," I snapped in a rather tart voice. "Oh, are they?" He didn't even lift an eyebrow. "Yes, Cream and I questioned them, and it turns out they're indeed in the employ of a certain British lord, just as we suspected." "Gosh, what a surprise." "Yes, I do not think they've realized who we really are yet, but, to judge by what Cream and I have managed to make the 3 tell us, they suspect that we are not who we claim to be, which means that we have to put more effort than ever into our disguise." "Oh, do we?" "Yes, we have to be the perfect image of 2 young and foolish people in the grip of a mixture of the following irrational emotions: devotion, passion, love, yearning, infatuation and attachment." "Good God, he sounds as if he were compiling a shopping list. Didn't you forget amorousness?" I suggested sweetly, "also known as lust." "By all means, add it to the list." "Bloody hell, doesn't he even realize that was meant to be sarcastic?" Ignoring the glare I was shooting at him, he took me by the hand and pointed to my still half-filled plate. I had spent the last 5 minutes shoving the food on it from left to right in a listless manner. "Are you finished with your dinner, my love?" "It went cold long before you arrived," I said, with another meaningful glare. He apparently was impervious to those. "I see, how convenient. Then I assume you do not need to eat it. Let's dance, and do your best to arrange your features in a way that suggests ardent devotion, passion, love, yearning, infatuation, attachment and amorousness." I raised an eyebrow. "In that order, or may I rearrange them alphabetically?" His dark eyes swept over me, coolly. "If you wish." Gah, he was impossible. "And what about you?" I asked sweetly, as we rose to our feet and he more or less dragged me to the dance floor that was set up in the next room, accessible through 3 wide arches. "Will you, too, be displaying feelings of devotion, passion, love, yearning, infatuation, attachment and amorousness?" "No, but then, you're the female, so everybody expects you to be the emotional one." "Oh really? Well, I was certainly feeling quite emotional at the moment. My emotions, however, little resembled devotion, passion, love, yearning, infatuation, attachment or amorousness." The music started playing, and we started to move, or rather, he started to move me. After a few moments, he said, so low only I could hear, "This isn't working." "Really, whatever gave you that idea?" "The fact that you've stamped on my feet 3 times already points rather strongly in that direction." "Indeed." "Yes, indeed. Also, you're glowering at me like a vengeful fury from hell." "Ah, you've finally noticed that, have you?" Shooting me a cold glare, he leaned closer. "Remember," he growled, "we are in love, you and I." Something painful tugged at my heart. I clamped down on the feeling, hard. "No, we aren't." "Oh yes, we are, my darling." Spinning me around in time with the music, he pulled me close. His dark, sea-colored eyes sparkled in the candlelight, and before I could prevent it, his lips met mine. There, in public, on the dance floor. Dash it all, what is he up to? I didn't know, not in the least. "And you don't really care, as long as he doesn't stop kissing you, do you? Lily, what is happening to you?" Ineffectually, I struggled to get out of his hold, but it was no use. His arms held me tightly, preventing my escape, and then I felt something delicious and wet tickle my lips. "Oh no, he isn't going to. No, not here, in public. He can't. Apparently, he could." Half a second later, his powerful tongue parted my lips, invading my mouth. For one moment, just one moment, I surrendered myself to the blissful sensation. For that moment, I was dancing threefold. I was dancing with my feet, hardly noticing it anymore. I was dancing in my mouth, a delicious dance that sent my blood roaring through my veins. And I was dancing in my soul, more gracefully than I ever had in real life. Then I heard the giggles. They came from all around us, nasty, female giggles that made it clear what they all thought of me. I gathered all my strength and, finding that it was just about enough, wrenched my mouth away from that of Richard Ambrose. Slowly opening eyes that had slid shut during the kiss, I stared into his perfect face, only an inch away. "Just relax," he murmured against my lips. "Remember, we're in love. People who are in love kiss each other all the time." "I don't want to kiss you." I lied, my teeth gritted. "I don't love you. I hate you." Something flashed in his dark eyes. "Then I'd suggest you start pretending better." Asterisk tilde asterisk tilde asterisk asterisk tilde asterisk tilde asterisk. They didn't have solid chocolate in Egypt. Why? Probably because it melted too easily, or because that ingenious invention hadn't yet reached this distant corner of the earth. Suddenly, I slumped down on one of the chairs beside the refreshment tables and picked up a date from one of the plates. My gaze turned to the dance floor, where Mr. Ambrose was waltzing away with the daughter of the French ambassador, who stayed here as part of an excursion up the Nile Delta. Pointing out to me that my way of dancing with him was likely to break his toe sooner or later, Mr. Ambrose had suggested I sit down for a dance or two. So, now I was sitting and staring at the dancing pair, morosely. "Blast," I murmured, "why do the French have to have an ambassador in Egypt, anyway? It's not as though they import frogs or snails from here." Viciously, I bit down on the date, and winced. Not exactly my taste. What I needed to give me comfort right now was chocolate, massive amounts of chocolate, dark and sweet. But there was none to be had. I grabbed another date. The music ended, and on the dance floor Mr. Ambrose and the French girl parted. She smiled. He bowed to kiss her hand. She smiled more widely. "Oh, sure," I grumbled, stuffing another date into my mouth. "You go ahead and leer at him. He's only married to me, it's no problem." "No, actually he isn't even married to me. But you don't know that, you little vixen, do you?" Even from this distance I could see that the girl was very pretty. A small, delicate nose, dimples in her cheeks, the kind of eyelashes that seemed to have nothing to do but to flutter all day, and a waist so slender Mr. Ambrose could probably have reached around it with one hand. Not that he had tried so far. Good for him. So far, I had only been watching in silence, but that could change at a moment's notice. Stepping away from the ambassador's daughter, he sat down at a distant table and ordered a glass of water, the only drink on the menu that didn't cost a single penny. His drink arrived. He took a sip. Then, as if sensing my gaze, he slowly raised his head to look over at me. Our eyes met. The meeting was quite a long one, at least long enough to sit down and have a nice discussion about recent politics and the weather. However, neither his or my eyes seemed to be focused on such tame subjects. "Ah, bon Dieu, young amour is such a wonderful thing." My head snapped around. Sitting beside me was the Comtesse something or other, a French noblewoman who was also staying at the hotel and to whom I had been briefly introduced the night before. I beg your pardon, I stammered. My knowledge of French was a little shaky all right, maybe, non-existent, would be the better word but still, I thought even I knew what that particular word meant. Amour. The Comtesse gave me a smile as warm as a pot full of cooked snails, and considerably more appealing. Certainement, ma chérie, how do you say again en anglais? Love, is it not? Yes, that it is, young love. I stared at her in perplexed amazement. Love. But yes, ma chérie, it is blindingly obvious how much you are in love with your young man. As you all know, my cheeks weren't given to blushing. There was not much on this planet that could embarrass me, and 2 weeks in Egypt had given me an even healthier tan than usual. But right then, my cheeks ignored all commands of character and coloring and flushed a deep, burning red. In love, and more than that, in love with Ricard Ambrose. She had to be joking. It was all acting, and so far, I appeared to have made a miserable job of it. And he with you, the Comtesse added with a wink. My jaw dropped. That did it. I was decided the old lady was off her rocker. The French government should really pay more attention to its foreign policy. First they allow their ambassadors to have daughters that are too pretty by half, and then they let crazy comtesses loose all across the world. That was simply irresponsible. Mr. Ambrose, in love with me. Yes, of course, he was madly in love with me. That was why he treated me with such kindness and respect. I might just as well believe that an iceberg could fall in love with a volcano. Really, whispered a little voice in my head. Cast your mind back a little to the tender feeling of his lips on yours, to the way he held you while you were dancing in the candlelight, and you weren't busy treading on his toes. Remember how he looked at you. He was acting, of course he was acting. Indeed, do you think anyone could be that good an actor? Yes, no, oh, blast, I didn't know. My eyes were drawn over to Mr. Ambrose again. His dark, sea-colored eyes had never left me. The Comtesse beside me chuckled and winked. What did I tell you, ma chérie? Amour. With that, she got to her feet and bustled off. Unbelievable, there really should be an export embargo on crazy French aristocrats. Mr. Ambrose had nearly drained his glass by now. Taking a last swig, he placed it down on the table with a distinct clink I could hear even from where I was sitting, halfway across the room. Getting to his feet, he started towards me, his eyes full of what? Devotion, passion, love, yearning, infatuation, attachment and amorousness, maybe. Not hardly. He walked in a dead straight line, not deviating an inch from his course at any time. Somehow he managed to walk at just the right pace to not collide with a single couple on the dance floor. Not once did he slow down. I straightened in my chair and hurriedly swallowed my last date. My dear Lillian, stopping in front of me, he bowed as coldly and precisely as a metal man driven by clockwork. Will you do me the honor of dancing with me? My eyes met his cold, hard ones. In love with him? Never. That old crone was off her rocker. I would show her. No, thank you, I told him with a dignified inclination of the head. The little finger on his left hand twitched, and twitched again. Oh dear, twice in a row. I must have really gotten his dander up. Putting one hand on either arm of my chair, he leaned down towards me. He didn't stop moving when he invaded my personal space. I leaned backwards until I was pressed up against the backrest, but still he kept coming. He didn't stop until his face was only inches from mine. Then he unclenched his teeth and, in a very low, controlled voice, said, "You are my loving wife, remember. That is not exactly compatible with you turning down my invitation to dance in front of the entire ballroom. May I inquire after your reasons?" I met this old hag who propounded the most ludicrous theory and I'll do my bloody best to prove her wrong. I'm not in love with you, do you hear? No, I'm definitely not. Just don't feel like it. Mr. Ambrose's voice lowered, for a level so dangerous it should have had a warning label on it. You don't feel like it? Yep. We're in a ballroom full of people, any number of whom could be Dalglish's spies, and you don't feel like it? Yes. Get up and get on the dance floor now. In love, and double who could ever be in love with such an insufferable tyrant? I met his cold stare head on. I'm not in the mood to dance right now. Thank you for the offer, maybe later. There is no later. You will not ruin our disguise because of some senseless, irrational female mood. It isn't senseless, you granite-headed brute. I've just had someone tell me that I am in love with you. I need some time to recover from the shock. I mean, you are the most arrogant, opinionated, chauvinistic son of a bachelor south of the North Pole. That's like being told you love being hit over the head with a hammer and having your toes doused in boiling oil. I raised my chin. One dance won't make a bloody bit of difference. I cut off in a yelp as Mr. Ambrose snatched my hand and with one powerful tug tore me up out of my chair. His arm came around my waist like a snake, and in a moment we were whirling off, moving towards the dance floor. Oh God, that feels wonderful. Let go. Struggling against him, I tried to jam my heels into the floor only to realize my feet were no longer touching the ground. Mr. Ambrose was holding me up, effortlessly whirling me through the air. His face betrayed not the least exertion as if he danced on air every day. I do not know what is the matter with you, he growled into my ear, but get it under control now. I will not have this operation ruined, not by you, and not by anyone. Asterisk tilde asterisk tilde asterisk asterisk tilde asterisk tilde asterisk. The next day showed me how serious he was. Occasional forays into the city were fitted in between hours of dancing, dining and hand-holding. I tried to do my best, I really did. Heck, I was being paid for this, after all. But I couldn't banish that word from my head. Fake, 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 all of this was fake. Yes it is, and why the dickens do you care that much? That was a very good question, one I asked myself again and again over the next few days, but never found an answer to. My frustration grew, along with my tendency to act like a stubborn mule on union strike. This isn't working. Mr. Ambrose's voice was low and cold, like morning mist creeping over the ground on a winter morning. We were at dinner, and I had spent half my time stabbing at my food, the other half glowering at his impossibly perfect face. This was the first time the silence between us had been broken. At least try to be convincing. I informed him serenely. If I weren't, my objects for glowering and stabbing would have been exchanged over 10 minutes ago. Your last chance. His voice. Oh, why did that cold voice of his have to send such a delicious tingle down my spine? I ignored it and him and stabbed another carrot with my fork. Your very last chance, I'm warning you. I remained silent. Why, I had no idea. I could have smiled and laughed and danced like a good little secretary, I supposed. It shouldn't have been that difficult. It really shouldn't, but there was that word in the back of my mind. Fake, fake, fake. And then there was the French's lady's voice, sighing bon Dieu, young amour is such a wonderful thing. For reasons I could not fathom, those words made me lash out. I knew that, for no reason at all, I was behaving like a complete shrew. No, worse, I was behaving like a wicked witch who hadn't had enough children to gobble up for a week. But then, I'd always had a thing for wicked witches, so I didn't feel a particular need to change my behavior. As you wish. Nobody could convey more quiet menace with these 3 little words than Richard Ambrose. They thrummed with the freezing force that even I, sunk deep in my strange and inexplicable mood, felt to my very core. Slowly, he rose to his feet. Finish your dinner, wife. I looked up questioningly. His plate was still half full. You're already done. I feel like retiring early tonight. And with that, he turned and marched up the stairs. I remained, my mouth slowly chewing the rest of my dinner, while my brain was busy chewing on my conflicting feelings. Let's just say that my mouth was vastly more successful in turning everything into an easily digestible mush. Suppressing a yawn, I finally got to my feet. It had been an exhausting day. The forays into the darkest parts of the city, the constant fear of another attack and, worst of all, the need to try and pretend to be blissful all day was really getting to me. Stretching, I crossed the dining hall and started to climb the stairs to our suite. The moment I approached the door I knew something was wrong. Noises were coming from inside, not the noises of a fight, or the kind you'd expect a burglar to make, thank God. No, those were unquestionably moans. It sounded as someone was in mortal pain. My mouth dropped open in horror. Blast, Mr. Ambrose went up early because he didn't feel well. What if he... I didn't even want to think of what could have happened to him. Horror stories of 1,000 tropical diseases I had read about in books or papers flashed through my mind. Rushing towards the door, I made a grab for the doorknob. If he was sick. The door crashed open. I plunged inside and froze. It only took me one heartbeat to see that I had been mistaken. Mr. Ambrose was not sick. In fact, he appeared to be very healthy and vigorous, and so did the girl clenched in his arms. Favors and fires. It took the 2 of them a moment to notice me. Quite impressive, considering the noise I was making, stomping into the room. But then, they appeared to be busy. Very, very busy. I cleared my throat. Neither Mr. Ambrose nor the female, who, if I wasn't very mistaken, was the daughter of the French ambassador I had seen him dance with not too long ago, paid me the slightest attention. Just when their lips were about to touch, I decided it was time for more drastic measures. Grabbing a nearby side table I pushed, hard, and it toppled it over. The table and everything on it landed on the floor with an almighty, satisfying crash. Disengaging from each other, they both turned to look at me. The girl's eyes were blinking rapidly in confusion. Mr. Ambrose, the devil curse him into all eternity, was looking just as cool and collected as if he had just been sipping tea. Hasn't your mother ever taught you to knock before coming in? He inquired. The girl looked from me to him and back again. Who is that, Henry? She demanded in a heavily accented voice. No one of consequence, Cherry, Mr. Ambrose assured her. Cherry. If it hadn't been before, that was the point at which my blood started boiling. Trying not to look at the 2 of them or at their rumpled clothes, I stepped forward and picked Mr. Ambrose's tailcoat up off the floor. Here, I hurled the thing at him. I was hoping it would hit him in the head, but he caught it, effortlessly. Put that on, and you, turning to the girl, I pointed a finger at the door. Out. She stared at me, then turned her gaze to Mr. Ambrose. Who is that? I'm his wife, I informed her coldly. Well, why not? It was true, damn it. Well, sort of. That made her look at me again, longer this time. It also made her eyebrows shoot up in disbelief. She looked back at Mr. Ambrose once more. Sis one, your wife. She is, he allowed, in a manner of speaking. Oh, laws, if that is case, she untangled herself from Mr. Ambrose, and curtsied to me. Haven't you not inconvenienced you, madam? My mouth dropped open, stunned. She didn't seem to suffer from any such problems in dealing with the situation. She just laced up her half-open gown and left the room, not without blowing a kiss to Mr. Ambrose in parting. When the door had closed behind her, I marched up to my so-called husband, who, I saw to my great relief, was completely dressed again by now. What was that? I snapped. That was Mademoiselle Bertrand, the ambassador's daughter. I had been tempted to murder him before, but that was nothing compared to the temptation I had to withstand in that moment. I know who she is, I whispered. I want to know what you were doing with her. We were engaged in preparations for a process known, I believe, as osculating. Osculating, indeed. Yes, though sometimes, in a less formal context, one might also use the term kissing or smooching. In any case, the words all denote a common human mating ritual and precursor to Congress. You mean you were whoring? Certainly not. He almost looked indignant. Indignant? You have to pay a woman to be whoring. She didn't get 1 penny from me, I can promise you that. What do you take me for? I was shaking. I didn't even know why I was so angry, bloody hell. I had no right to be. I wasn't married to him. It was all just a disguise. Moreover, that I had done my best to fight, subvert and shatter. But, that was just the problem. But, what did I take you for? My eyes were burning. I took you for an honorable man. Apparently, I was mistaken. He had turned to the nearest window, to straighten his bow tie in its mirror-like surface. His reflection looked at me, all cool arrogance with a hint of displeased surprise. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you do not seem too pleased at my plans to osculate with Mademoiselle Bertrand. Pleased? My eyes almost bugged out of my sockets. You expected me to be pleased. Certainly. He gave another tug to his bow tie, and nodded, satisfied. After all, I undertook the whole matter for your sake. Maybe, I told him in a voice that could have frozen lava, I'm not the most experienced person in male-female interactions, but I fail to see how you can please one woman by kissing another. I should have thought it is quite obvious. Finished with his bow tie, he now went on to straightening his shirt. He didn't seem to notice that, from behind, I was trying to murder him with my eyes. It was clear that you were not pleased at having to play my loving bride. I had to find a solution. Ergo, I set out to find another female to osculate. The girl I selected is an utter gossip monger, and the story of my extramarital adventure will be all over the hotel in at most half an hour, thus providing you the opportunity to switch from the role of loving wife to boiling angry, jealous and cantankerous wife, a role to which I think you are eminently better suited. Our disguise will once more be perfect, and Dalbetia's spies will have no reason to suspect we are anything else than what we proclaim to be. Content with his appearance, he clapped his hands and turned towards me. Problem solved, to our mutual satisfaction. There, what do you say? I didn't say anything. My mouth was opening and closing, no words coming out. Hello, Mr. Ambrose took a step forward. Are you all right? In a small part of my mind, far from the boiling flood that filled the rest of me, I dispassionately noted that, actually, seen from a logical and unemotional point of view, his explanation had made perfect sense. The only problem was I wasn't very disposed to be logical and unemotional right now. He took another step forward. Are you all right, my love? That did it. Those 2 little words at the end. My eyes, open and shut right up to that moment, narrowed, blazing with fire. I took a step towards him. I see, I said, my voice mild. You did all that for my benefit. How thoughtful. So did you just want to let her spread rumors behind my back, or did you plan on me coming in and discovering you? He shrugged. Either would have sufficed, but I was hoping to draw the thing out until you came. I thought it would be much more effective, and help you more in acting your new role as a jealous wife. Are you pleased with the alteration to the plan? He was serious. He was actually serious. God, that man might be the most brilliant financier and businessman to walk the earth since King Croesus, but he had bricks for brains where women were concerned. What do you think? I purred. Do I look pleased? He regarded me for a few moments. Oddly enough, no, you don't. How very observant of you. What is the matter? Do you think my idea won't work? That the Bertrand female won't spread rumors about our tryst through the hotel? My eyes sparked. Oh, I'm sure she's already at it. Then don't you think that will be enough to distract any watchers who were suspicious of us before? Of course it will. The fire in my eyes felt like 2 stars now, burning bright hot. Your plan was very well thought out. I'm sure it will work beautifully. Blast him, but it was. Still, that didn't mean I didn't want to take his head off for it. Then what's the matter? I was trembling. Don't you realize what you've done? Certainly I do. I've made your life a whole lot easier. Next time when we're at dinner, you can snap and shout at me till your heart's content. You bastard. His sea-colored eyes flashed darkly. I don't particularly see why you were so aggravated. You were not the one who had to fondle that female. Wiping his fingers on his sleeve, he shuddered. Can you imagine? She actually perfumes her neck with lavender. Bah. A muscle in my cheek twitched. It wasn't the one I used for smiling. You have my profoundest sympathy. Thank you. He thought I meant it. He honestly thought I meant it. I raised an eyebrow. And will you go to bed with her as part of your little charade, too? He cocked his head thoughtfully, as if this idea hadn't yet occurred to him. Do you think I should? If you believe it necessary, I suppose I could. What? I gripped my head with both hands, trying to keep from pulling my hair out. You're impossible. I take objection to that. Oh, you do you? Indeed, the matter under discussion has nothing to do with the plausibility of my existence. I am quite certain that I exist. As the philosopher Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. Well, think about that. Grabbing an orange from a nearby table, I hurled it at him. He ducked, and the fruit bounced harmlessly off the wall. He gave an approving nod. Quite acceptable acting. That's exactly the kind of attitude you need to project now, for your new role as jealous wife. If you ever come near that hussy again, I'll kill you, do you hear me? I'll cut off your head, fill it with ice cream and eat it for breakfast. He stood there, slowly stroking his finger along his chiseled chin, regarding me consideringly. You know, for someone who is only play acting, you're a quite extraordinarily convincing jealous wife. Of course, I flashed him my tigress smile again. After all, you pay me for it. Indeed. So, what now? Slowly prowling towards him, I eyed his hard, cold figure. What do you expect a woman to do? Run off screaming into the night? Crawl away to weep in a corner? Probably. My eyes narrowed into slits. But you see, a wife wouldn't do that. At least not one worthy of the title. No, I won't pretend to run off. Instead, since I'm pretending to be your wife, I ought to pretend to be very, very angry at you. He considered this for a moment. Finally, he nodded his agreement. Yes. Good. The first vase missed his head only by inches, shuddering against the wall. I'm so glad to have your agreement, my dear. Grabbing the second vase of flowers from the dresser, I hurled it at him with all the force I could muster, careful to take better aim. He ducked just in time. The vase crashed against a portrait and splintered into 1,000 pieces. Marching over to the table, I picked up another and flung it after the first 2, but the one flew wide of the target, sailing over his head and out the window. It shattered with a distant, lonesome crash somewhere on the cobblestones outside. I didn't give him time to recover. Dashing forward like a mad fury, I hurled myself at him and started pounding on his chest. I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. Quite satisfactory, his cool voice reached my ear, like silk sliding over steel. Your acting has significantly improved. Thanks. My next punch hit him in the stomach. Bloody hell, it was as hard as a slab of granite. I hit again, and satisfaction rushed through me as he uttered a small groan. Really, quite significantly improved. He grunted. Here, take that, you bastard. And that, and that. His hands shot up, grabbing me around the wrists. Let go, you bloody son of a bachelor. So you can continue to utilize me as your own personal punching bag. His tone was as dry as it was cold. I think not. You. I must say, I am quite impressed, Mr. Linton. You play the show exceedingly well. One might almost think the performance were genuine. I am just doing my job. Very thoroughly, I must say. Thank you so much, sir. By the way, you'll pay for that vase out of your wages. I don't give a damn who pays for it. I'm staying here in Egypt as your wife. I'm finishing my job, do you understand? There was a moment of silence. He was still holding me in his iron grip, and we stared at each other over the small, insurmountable distance between us, hardly able to make out each other's faces. I was breathing hard. Maybe a bit too hard for someone who's only pretending to be angry. That inner voice of mine should really learn to shut up. Do you? I asked, taking deep breaths to calm myself, understand. Another moment of silence. Finally. Yes. I'm staying as your wife. Yes. My eyes narrowed, and you realize that, in that role, I'm going to pretend to hate you passionately. Slowly, very slowly, he began to remove his hands from around my wrists. I made no move to attack him again. Something tells me that will not be very difficult for you. My lips twitched, upward, downward. I had no idea. I didn't have a hope of understanding the emotions rolling inside me right now. That's what I thought, too. I mean, you're an arrogant son of a bachelor. Nothing should be easier than to hate you, and as your fake wife, that's all I'd have to do to play my role, right? His hands let go of my wrists fully, and he took a step back. Right. His voice was unusually hesitant. He seemed to know that there was something still to come. But then I thought, I took a step forward, towards him. When he stepped back again, I stepped forward once more, following him across the room. I thought, since I'm pretending I'm married to you, yes. Another step back for him, another step forward for me. We were at the window now, his waist pressed into the windowsill. He couldn't step back anymore, unless he wanted to start a new career as a gory stain on the cobblestones of Alexandria. Since I'm supposedly married to you, no matter how much I hate you, I would also have to pretend that I'm still in love with you. My hands shot forward, grabbing his collar. I pulled him down until he was on my level and I could glare right into his dark eyes. I'd have to pretend to tell you that you're mine, and I'll be damned if I let some French hussy steal you away from me. A low rumble erupted from his chest. Then I'd have to pretend to say, I don't need a French hussy. I don't want her, I don't want anyone but you. I pulled him a few inches closer, and I'd have to pretend to say, prove it. Maybe I should not have said that. Oh, all right, I definitely should not have said that. Why? Because he took me at my word. In a fraction of a second, his hands were at my face, caressing lightly, holding tightly. His lips crashed down on mine, soft as a feather and hard as a mountain of stone. He invaded me, possessed me, took hold of me, not just of my mouth, but of all of me. I could feel his hands letting go of my face, picking me up from the floor and carrying me away to, where? I did not know, I didn't really care. Through the days around my mind, I heard a crash. My eyes, closed in bliss up until then, flew open to see the double doors to the master bedroom swinging loosely on their hinges. A moment later, I heard the creak of metal feathers from beneath me and felt something soft at my back. The chaise lounge again. But, wait just a moment, there was no chaise lounge in the bedroom. It was a bedroom. There was only one thing with feathers in here, and it started with AB. The realization flooded through me like a whole bucket chain of cold water. I was in bed with a man. You're both still dressed, aren't you? What's the harm? The harm? I was a feminist. I was supposed to despise men. That was the harm. Well, you can despise him far better if you're up close, can't you? Bloody hell, no. Just relax. He's still dressed. You're still dressed. This is harmless. And no, quite nice, by the way. Don't you feel that? That was the moment when I felt Mr. Ambrose's fingers at the buttons of my dress. They didn't seem to be there to check how large the buttons were. No, his intent was an entirely different one. Looking up at his dark form above me, I saw that somehow he had managed to remove his tailcoat again. His shirt was unbuttoned at the top, revealing the smooth, hard planes of his chest. My breath caught. So far, your acting hasn't been bad, my love, he murmured into my ear, his breath caressing my earlobe. But there's one marital duty you've not fulfilled so far. A shiver raced down my spine, delicious fear and terrifying wonder in one. Oh yes.